Mm-hmm.
She had cancer of the breast, and she and Minnie tried to give her shots and stuff. But she wanted to move to Wilbur's because she was afraid she might hurt some of my kids. We had 4 of them, see.
Uh-huh.
So they moved her to Faribault over to Wilbur's, and then she died there. And then Pa stayed with us all the time too. From the time George and I was married, we got married, and Ma went over to DeGroat's, next down below the hill, the back of our farm there, as she was having a baby, because my mother used to go around taking care of ladies, with the doctors coming to take care of the babies and stuff. So she went down there, and of course, I don't know how many days she stayed there. And then Pa called over there, and we was over to Marie and Joe's. We had our wedding dance over to Marie and Joe's. And the neighbors came, and they came with sleighs and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I went with that's something that was supposed to be in that Morrissey book about going to our wedding and stuff.
Why don't you tell us about it?
Huh?
Can you tell us about it?
Yeah, we went to Otana to get married, and George and Emil had the car over by the creamery, and of course Emil he used the car, and did some damn thing that the head was busted. And when we went to Otana to get married, why? We had to stop at every damn gas station to put water in the damn thing. But then when we got to Otana, where the minister was at the train, we had to go pick him up at this depot at this train station. So we went down there and picked him up, and then we got married. And then we came back. We left our horses and sleigh up at the creamery there. And then when we got back from getting married, then we came back, and then we all went over to Joe's. That's where we had our wedding dance over there in the house. And the neighbors were all there, and they came with their sleighs and stuff. And we had the wedding dance over there. Pa bought a case of beer, and and I guess him and Emil got in a little Padoot there, I guess. But Emil, my Wilbur and my cousin stood up for us when we got married. But Emil was to the wedding. He was to the wedding. Of course, he was drinking beer and stuff, and Pa and him got kind of in a squabble. I never forgot that.
How'd you?
And then we had the dance, and then after the dance, the people, they went home. We had our lunch and everything. And next morning, George, that night, no, it wasn't that night. It was the next morning, in a way. I stayed in the house to clean up the place. And George and Joe was plastered, had been plastered, so he couldn't go out and milk cows. So George went out and helped Marie milk the cows. Went out and helped milk the cows, and then I tried to clean up the place, after we had the wedding dance and stuff. And then of course, Pa called them the next day and wanted to know if I'd come over there and keep house for him while Ma was over to the neighbors. So and of course Wilbur called, wanted to know if George could come over and help him clean the chicken house. So he was cleaning the chicken house the next day, and then we went over there, and from that time on we stayed there.
Huh.
We stayed there. Of course because they didn't have anybody after me, only Rosanna, and she was quite young, So then they had 2 of us milking cows, George and I both. So they got 2 milkers instead of just one. Instead of losing one, they gained 2.
How'd you and Grandpa meet?
I think we went down to the schoolhouse. They lived back in the back end there. One time we went, they borrowed a wagon from us. And George, or one of the kids, Marie or Ruth or somebody came, we were going down to get it. And when we were going to go down and get it, why here, they were bringing it back. So Georgie unhooked his horses off of it and took off and went home. So we hooked our horses on it and then we went home. I says he could have at least helped us hook our horses up and stuff. Then after that, why then I don't know. Then we kind of got used to one another. We was out to the schoolhouse and a bunch of us neighbors all together was there and George says, she must like me. She sat on my back. He was laying on the ground. He said she must like me. She sat on my back. Well, from that time on, it kind of got closer and closer and closer. And we went to the sleigh with the sleigh. We went over to the neighbors to play cards and stuff with Ma and Pa, and they went too, you know. And that's how we got. I only went out twice with somebody else. George says it's either him or me. So it was him. It was George. Yeah, Ruth. She had they were neighbors out. They were not neighbors at us, but over in Deerfield. They were neighbors out there, and they came over to our place. I don't know how come. Oh yeah, Vulkers. They was moved away from there. They moved away from there. They came over to see the Vulkers and stuff. And we got acquainted to them, but we only went a couple times. Went to a show. That's all. We never went much. So I didn't really only have one boyfriend. I never went with anybody else. Just a couple of times we went to a show. That was all.
Runs in the family.
It runs in the family.
Is that all you did?
Yeah. I had one girlfriend before I met Margaret.
Mm-hmm. That was enough.
Yeah.
That way we didn't have hard picking.
Yeah.
Stop when you know you got the right thing.
That's right.
Huh.
And then George, we worked for Grandpa. He gave us $5 a month. And then afterward, why in the summer, then he worked for Andrew's Nursery for $10 cents an hour. 10 cents an hour is all he got. $1 a week. And then he started cutting out raspberry, dried raspberry, dead branches and raspberries and stuff. And then he watered strawberries out there. And then when they did pay us some, then they wanted to take it out some on scripts. That means take some of the stuff what they had there instead of giving us money. See? Boy, I tell you, after we worked for him for $5 a month in the winter. He gave us a little money so we'd have enough money to buy a pint of booze or something once in a while. But that was later on in years. So we used to go to Kitzman dances and stuff, and then we'd go down to Kitzman's dances and every Saturday night. Pa was floor manager there, and then he had his car stolen when he was floor manager down there. Somebody stripped all the tires and everything off of it.
Huh.
Yeah, that was, and we stayed together all the time. Then we did take we went over to Joe's. There was a farm there for rent, so Wilbur was going to come home and work at home. And we were getting $300 a year. He was paying us $300 a year then, Grandpa. Well, and he hired Wilbur's, Norma. They came and gave him $600 right
Wow.
away. Well, we went over to this farm and we used some Joe's machinery, and we had a little stuff that we moved over there, and we was only gone a year and a half. And Ma wanted us to come back. She says that Pa, they got a house of Grandpa and Grandma's. Grandpa and Grandma had a house there in Faribault, and Pa was taking care of it. He's trying to sell it or rent it out or something. And Ma thought, well, if we come back, maybe he'd move into town. No, he wouldn't do it. So he just stayed there, and he sold the house, and that's what Ma wanted, to live in town, but Pa wouldn't do it. He wouldn't give up the farm.
No.
So he stayed there after Ma died and stuff. He stayed right with us all the time. The kids wanted him to come over and stay there with them for a week or so, like Marie and Roots and them. Oh, no, I gotta do dishes for Doris. I gotta clean the table off, and I gotta sweep the floor and everything. No, I can't go and stay there. He never did.
Huh.
He stayed there stayed with me all the time. And then when I started working, then George would be out in the field plowing and doing whatever he was out in the field doing. Why, he had to take care of what Grandpa was doing then, see? Because he'd drive home every once in a while with the tractor and see how everything was going. But Pa sometimes would walk way out in the field there where he was, because he was 84 when he died. So he was getting up in their years. But he'd always get the eggs and wash the eggs and put the eggs we sell eggs and stuff, and he'd put the eggs in the case,
Mm-hmm.
what we used to sell it and stuff. Oh no, he always had and he'd clean the chicken house, and he'd put in some straw. He'd carry the straw in there. He was hoeing thistles once in a while just to be doing something.
Do you take care of your kids too then? Keep an eye on the kids?
No, we didn't have the kids then yet. No, we didn't have the kids then yet. Oh, we had the kids, but I mean, when Ma died in 54. Ma died in 54. And then he died in 70. But he stayed with us all the time. He wouldn't go no place else. He didn't want to leave the farm. No way. That's just like me, I didn't want to leave it either.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Kids wanted they didn't want me out there in the wintertime. Of course, Dunkers, he was pretty good. They'd come and plow up my driveway all the time and stuff, but oh no, they didn't want that. So I finally broke down and moved to town. No, that was my life from the beginning to the end.
How about when you were little?
Oh gosh.
Any good family stories?
I don't really remember too much stuff when we were little.
Could you tell us the story of when Urzina was born? Whose birthday was it?
Oh, that was Ruth's birthday. She was born on Ruth's birthday. So we went over to the neighbors there. We baked the cake at home, and then I was going to frost it and put some vanilla in the frosting. Instead of that, we had big bottles of liniment, Watkins liniment and frosting, vanilla and liniment for aches and pains. I got the wrong bottle and I put liniment in it, and then we couldn't even make the frosting over because Ma was in such a hurry to have the baby that we had to go and make the frosting over to the neighbor's place. So when we got home, why, then we knew we were gonna have a brother or sister, but we didn't know. When we got home, Pa said he found her on a fence post.
Oh.
Yeah. But I can't remember too much about when we were little, though. All I know that we used to have a wash tub. We'd take our baths in a wash tub all the time. One would take a bath, and then another would take a bath, and another would take a bath. By the time the last one takes a bath, I think the water was pretty well able to stand up by itself.
Yeah.
You know, 4 kids taking baths.
Uh-huh.
Because we never had no toilet, we never had lights in the house, we never had, when Charles was born, that's when we had lights first. And then that was in 1940. That's when we had lights first in the house.
Did you buy the farm from your parents then?
Yeah, we bought it, I don't remember when it was. Pa says, why don't you buy the farm? Why didn't you buy the farm? Well, we didn't know. He says, yeah, you could buy the farm and stuff, and you didn't have pay what I paid for it was $12,000. And then he says he was going to stay. I told him, you can live with us as long as you live. I says, this will be your home anyway. I says, this will be your home. So he stayed with us all the time.
Hmm.
He had his own car. He'd go to town once in a while, but he'd forget where he'd park it and stuff when he was getting so. But him and George and always, when we had all pigs and stuff, why he and George would always take feed down to grind the feed up for the. They'd take it to town. And then they'd stop and have a few beers, you know. Then every time they go by a liquor store, old Pa'd say, "Oh God, I gotta piss." so he have to stop, and so he could go, and then they'd have another beer. By the time they come home, why, it was kind of one get out of the one side of the car or pickup, and the other one on the other side of the pickup. They both had to take a leak. Then George would come in the house. "Oh, I love you, honey." I was about ready to soak him in there, to hit him in the schnauzer. Well, that would happen every once in a while. But that's all right. I'm not sorry I stayed there all that time. Pa got along good with George, too. Yeah, they got along all right. One time Ma was sick and she wanted to say something to George or ask him something, and when she was sick, and George was wondering what in the world it was that she wanted to tell him, but he never did find out. Never found out what she wanted to tell him. And I don't know either. That's the way. That's kind of life we had. We always stayed together. Then they go away. That was before she got sick, really sick. They go out to Wisconsin, maybe a week, maybe more, and they'd Pa'd pick strawberries for Aunt Rosina up there, and then they'd go up to Iowa to see Aunt Ida. They'd go up there and visit with her. They didn't have to worry about the chores or anything because the work all got done. Just like we worked, when we worked where we got a third and he got 2/3. Then after a while he says, "Well, why don't you buy it? Why don't you buy it?" That's what he wanted us to do.
How many acres was it?
120. But the back end had a gravel pit in there, in the back end. It had a parcel, some gravel back there. And it had a hole. That's where we dump our rocks, and we go pick up rocks, or we dump them in that hole there where they dug gravel out of. Yeah, that's.
And that old farmhouse that was in between your house and the gravel pit?
No, that was back. It was back. That was a farm.
Yeah.
That was a farm. That was not just a house. That was a
Yeah.
farm, that's where George and them moved when they moved into our part of the country.
Okay.
Then there was different people like the Groats. They lived down there, and different ones lived down in there all the time. And I can't even remember all the people at Herbert's who used to live there. Oh God. So many people lived down in that place. Hugh Kinney lived down there. Well, I used to go to school with them too. There's three of us. There's a teacher that's 100 and she's 101. She's gonna be 102 in February, and I'm gonna be 92 in February. And she's got there was Dorothy Silky, and there was me, and there was Neetha Johnson. All of us are 91. See, we had our picture taken with the teacher, but they didn't turn out very good. And Hugh Kinney, he wasn't around here, but he was over across the street. We seen him, and he had a knee replacement or something. Anyway, Dorothy and I went over there and we asked him, "Do you know who we are?" "Yes, we know who you are. You're Doris Anhorn and Dorothy Timmers." I thought maybe he wouldn't know us. And he was the same age as we was. So then Ruth is 90 already. So there was 5 of us, 4 of us that are 90 and over to the same teacher. And she's still living.
And she's going to be 102.
Yeah, she'll be 102, so the 7th of February.
Huh.
And I'm going to be 92, and then the other one, they're a little bit, well, when in their birthdays in March. It's a little bit later, but, and of course Ruth was 15 months younger than I am. There's 6 year and a half, I don't know which it is, from February to August. February, March, April, May, June, July, August, yeah, year and a half. Yeah, she's crawling around slowly too.
Ruth is?
Yeah. Her back and her hip and stuff. And
Is her son living with her?
yeah, wouldn't be for him. It wouldn't be for him. She'd be in a rest home. And it wouldn't be for her. He wouldn't have no play at home either.
Yeah.
So this way, why he helps with the cooking and he's washing and does different things for her, and takes her to the doctor. But he comes to Fairwood every Friday to get oxygen. I don't know why he can't get it in Northfield, but he never does. He comes down here to get it. Oxygen that he carries like a purse, you know.
There's no oxygen
But he
suppliers in Northfield.
He's got a machine that what Milford had before he died, so he's got that machine that makes oxygen at home there. Yeah, he stops down to see the girls at the co-op oil station, always fills up with gas there, and always stops and gives them a hard time. Visit with Ann and Dee Dee.
Huh.
He always likes to go and visit with them.
Phone.
Phone? And you shut it off? What'd you do that for?
Nobody important.
Huh?
There's nobody important.
Oh, you could look and see, huh?
Yeah.
There it is.
That?
Oh, that's my other. Nice. And for Margaret, well, Margaret says that's where the Anhorns landed. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
That's where the Anhorns.
The first Killian and his brother Christian, he would be. Well, I'd have to look.
Killian was Grandpa's name,
There's a long line of them.
and there was one of his sons, the oldest one. They named him Killian. And there's no other ones. Only the one that's from Morristown, and he never got married. It was Dominic and Killian. There's been no other Killians.
There was one more. There was one that, according to the research we found, there was one that, and he came to Wisconsin with his brother Christian.
No, Grandpa came from with his brother Andrew. He came from Switzerland.
Okay.
He came from Switzerland. Grandpa Anhorn.
Okay.
My dad's dad. And he had a brother. And it was Andrew. And that's the only brother he had.
Huh. And they came right to Minnesota?
Yeah. But as far as I remember, that he only had one brother, and his name was Andrew.
And did they come without their parents?
They came with their parents.
Huh.
So I don't know where the other ones could have came from. Then they had little pictures.
Seen this one yet?
That's. And there's a couple more born after that picture was taken, because I got a bigger one that's over to Allen's down the basement. They got them all on there. But one of the cousins came from Wisconsin. Erzina. Her name was Erzina. And her son had these pictures, and they gave them to me.
Huh.
My dad is on the end, right on the end here.
Okay.
And then I think there's eight kids, and they had 10.
There's 10 in here.
10?
Mm-hmm. It says on the back, it says it's missing Uncle John.
Oh, is that all?
Yeah.
Let's see that. One, two, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10.
Goodness.
And then they had 11. That's the case, they had 11. I thought they only had 10. I thought it was 7 boys and 4 girls. 7 and 4 is what?
11.
11.
Oh. But that's Pa there. And Erzina, Erzina was the oldest one. Then it's Killy. He was named after Grandpa. That's Philip. That was Philip. And then this there was Uncle George. And Uncle Philip was a farmer. Pa was a farmer. Uncle George was a farmer. And Uncle Andrew.
Can you tell us who's who again?
Andrew Zina.
Uh-huh.
Uncle Kelly. Uncle Philip. And Andrew Zina. That's Uncle. Just let me think. Uncle Andrew, and then this is Uncle George. That's Grandpa. Grandma, Aunt Mealy, and Uncle Carl, and Aunt Rosina. Then Pa. Yeah, Uncle John is the only one that isn't on here yet. We had one more. And they gave me this. See, Antoinette and Uncle Kelly and Uncle George. See that? That's how they named them. Aunt Nettie, Uncle Kelly, and Uncle George. Then Uncle Philip, yeah, and then Pa. Then Aunt Rosina. And then the next one is Uncle Andrew, that's right. Grandpa, Aunt Mealy, Grandma, and Uncle Harl sitting on her lap. And Aunt Philippine over here. And he says to Pa, he says, and you're a good listener. Because Pa, he didn't fill out any forms or anything like that. He says, you're a good listener. And that's the minister that married me too. Yeah.
So who helped you out when you had your kids at home? Was your mom there to help you?
I was home too. My kids was little.
No, when you had delivered your children, when you had
Oh, my mother.
your mom helped you?
Oh, sure. Oh, yeah. When Alice was born, I just moved away that day. And I was putting mattresses on the bed and every damn thing else, putting dishes up in the cupboard and stuff. And by golly, I started getting pains and stuff. And George says, "You better get out of bed and see if there are false alarms or not." So I got out of bed and I had to go to the bathroom and stuff. And I think we better go. I didn't even have Charles's suitcase unpacked or anything yet. So we jumped in the car and away we went. He was going down and going to beat hell. Think you can make it? He says to me, "You think you can make it?" Yeah. Well, trying to push the floorboards out, but I said, "We'll make it." And then we got home. We got home there and going in the yard like crazy, and they said, "God, I wonder who'll be coming at this time of the day." And maybe it's some guy that used to get milk from us, buy some milk from us. And then here it was us. And then, of course, Ma and Pa, Charles was little, and, "Oh, did you come to see Grandpa and Grandma? Did you come?" I says, "Hurry up and get that bed ready." I says, "We ain't got time to fool around." So then, of course, we had a 5-gallon pail. We never had no toilet, So, Ma says, "You better get away from that pail or you're going to have it in the pail." So she was standing there. They already called the doctor, and the doctor couldn't find his shirt, so he had a, says, well, I don't think you'd mind. I says, I'd have put my bowling shirt on. But he came out there and the baby was already there. Pa called him and he said, oh, the baby's already here. So then after that was over, why, Pa says, Pa was in there and he was with me too, you know. He was right there too, holding the light.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then George cried after he found out it was a girl. He was so happy. Because he had 2 boys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's quite the thing to witness.
Yeah. Did you watch it too?
Yep.
It wasn't so much fun either, was it?
Well, it didn't bother me much, but I wasn't one laying there either.
You darn right you wasn't. Was you with all 3 of them?
Yep.
Then you knew. Then you know where they come from.
Yep. I was a pro by then.
Yeah.
Well, where did you go to school, Grandma?
I only had 8 grades, and we went from the beginning to the end there.
Where was it? Just down from your house?
Yeah, it's right there by the road that goes west there. That was our land there, and they moved that schoolhouse on our land there at that time. I don't know if it was before we had the farm or not, but anyway, we would all grades from first to the 8th.
Is that all the higher the school went to?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had 36 kids, and the teacher taught all the grades from the first to the 8th. 36 kids in the neighborhood.
Is that the road that goes to the gravel pit?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
The schoolhouse was right on the
Yeah.
corner there.
Yeah, the schoolhouse.
There was a tree there and stuff. Trees are all gone now.
That's what was the garage
Yeah.
at the farm.
And George bought the schoolhouse for $80. And then somebody paid more than that for the bell.
Hmm.
But we built the foundation, and then we moved the schoolhouse up and put it on the foundation.
That wasn't very big.
Oh,
We
it's
put
about
the
2 cars
2
wide.
cars, yeah.
That's about it.
Yeah.
When was that?
Oh, golly, I don't remember when we bought it. Dunkers was gonna try and get it too, but we got out before Dunkers did. So we
Is that
fixed
the-
the foundation.
Is after all the other kids?
Oh, our kids were all
All gone
done.
through
Oh,
it.
yeah, they were all done already. Yeah, yeah. There was no country schools, they closed the country schools. I think, if I ain't mistaken, I think Leroy started school there too. I don't know if Charles did or not. I don't remember that. I'm sure that Leroy did, though I don't know.
Anton?
Yeah.
Because I think my dad said he used to carry water
Oh, yeah.
down to the school.
Oh, yeah,
That was his job or something.
they got water right at our place. And we carried it down there. Yeah. There's a lot of kids that are going to get be on the school board. Every once in a while, that's kids that have to run home and get them because the kids are fighting, and he grabbed a hold of one of them by the one neck and the other one by the other neck. wham together like that. They got through fighting.
Yeah.
Another time, the school board made a switch for the kids, so the teacher could use it on the kids. It was a stick, and it had some straps nailed on the end of that. and one time we was listening. We had a big pipe that come out from the stove, and there it went outside, And us kids would stick our heads on the air and listen and see how many times she'd hit, and we count them. Boy, one kid, he was a devil. Teacher'd run after him he'd go down the alley,